Hello! If you don't like NFL football, you can safely skip this video. If you're looking for Minecraft, don't worry. There's going to be a lot more of it starting tomorrow or so. But tonight was the home opener of the Seattle Seahawks to inaugurate the NFL season. And it was a good game, and I just want to ramble about it for a bit. I guess let's talk about all three phases of the game, and why not start with the defense? Of course, Seattle had the #1 defense last year. It's an incredible defense, and they played well tonight. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay offense have been one of the best in the league over the last couple of years. And yeah, I mean, they held them pretty well. Rodgers' numbers actually looked pretty good, but once again, the numbers on the scoreboard, it's one of the things that Seattle does so well. It's often the case that opposing offenses or quarterbacks can put up good numbers against them, but at the same time, still not score many points. And that's something that Seattle managed to do once again today. In terms of, the defensive backs, in terms of the LOB, Richard Sherman, the Green Bay, I think they picked a good strategy, which was basically never throw at him. They put a third or fourth, wide out over in Richard Sherman's lane. Richard wasn't following anybody around, and so basically they just completely took him out of the game. That's fine, because we've got Byron Maxwell, we've got Jeremy Lane, who actually had a very good game. We had KJ Wright falling back into coverage on receivers when necessary. And yeah, Seattle in its defensive backfield, even without superstars, still has depth. Byron Maxwell played another great game, did what he needed to do when he needed to do it, and still managed to come out with a pick, which is great. For those of you who don't know, he finished up the year. He only became a starter the last 4 or 5 games of last season and managed to get 5 picks in those games. And so he's no slouch. And in general, I feel like the Seattle coaching staff, they know how to coach up defensive backs. And yeah, Jeremy Lane was a guy that we've seen less of, but he was holding his own. I mean, he didn't do anything great, but he didn't do anything bad. No one really got burned. So defensive backs look fine. Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, relatively actually kind of quiet games for them at safety, but maybe that's just because nothing ever got too deep. But yeah, things looked fine there. Linebacking was looking good. Wright had one play I remember where he had to cover a receiver really deep and ended up getting a passing interference call. And yeah, I mean, he kept up with the guy. He just wasn't able to turn. The guy slowed down. He kind of ran right into him. And so can't complain too much about that. And then finally, the line play. During the first series or two, Green Bay was doing a lot of no huddle, and so they weren't able to swap in defensive linemen as often as Seattle usually likes to do. And they did. They struggled a little bit more at the beginning of the game, but as the game wore on, they started making some progress. It helped probably that, I don't know Green Bay's offensive line well enough, but one of their starters ended up going out with an injury. And I'm sure that helped. And so towards the end of the game, we started getting more pressure on Aaron Rodgers, and the Hawks managed to get, I think, 3 sacks by the end of the game, including they fumbled that turned into a safety in the end zone, so the defense scored points on that. Yeah, shades of any recent Seattle game you've seen before. Yeah, when they were kicking the free kick afterwards, I was like, when's the last time I saw a free kick? Oh, it was the last time Seattle played a game, the Super Bowl. So yeah, defense looks solid. Nobody played an out of their mind kind of great game, but they were playing a tough offensive opponent, and they held the score down, so that's great. Now let's switch to special teams. Special teams, there was more that one could be critical of. Obviously, Earl Thomas, people were critical of the idea of even putting him in as a punt returner in the first place. I guess just because, people are always fearful of injuries to punt returners and kick returners. And Earl Thomas, obviously, our defense lives and breathes off of this guy. But at the same time, something you really wanted to do. And Pete Carroll's always like, we compete, and whoever's the best guy for the job out of camp gets the job. He muffed a punt return. It probably should have been a fair catch because there was not time there. Really, I didn't watch any of preseason to know any of what his returns might have looked like there. And so, I mean, I've seen the guy intercept the ball in return, and so he can definitely, move in the open field. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out or not. for me personally, looking and watching today was not a good enough sample size, but it did not go all that well today. Um, and yeah, kind of on the other side, in terms of our kick coverage, things were looking good. Lockett was always down there right in the guy's face. So they ended up having to make a bunch of fair catches. And so overall, and in general, like I feel like the way this team is coached or whatever, like they do put a strong emphasis on special teams. This is definitely kind of like one of the worst games I've seen them play on special teams, but it wasn't something that ended up, like changing the course of the game by any stretch of the imagination because things went so well in the other phases. And finally, let's talk about the offense. Oh my God, the offense. This team was a solid offensive team last year. They had to play, I don't know, they had like part of a game with Percy Harvin and then like, a couple of plays in another game and then finally the Super Bowl. I think the whole year Percy maybe got 11 touches on the ball. He might have gotten that tonight, and holy crap, this offense is completely different with Percy in the starting lineup. It was just amazing. If I were another NFL defensive coordinator that had to start game planning against the Seahawks, like I'd be pulling my hair out already. Holy cow, you've already got Marshawn Lynch, who solidly can run the ball, is going to break a first tackle. The first person who lays hands on him is not going to bring him down. That's always been part of the strength of Seahawks offense. They've got a receiver and tight end core, all of which have great hands and can hold the ball. Zach Miller today, like, it's not I don't think of him as like a huge name on the team playing tight end, but whether he was catching the ball or he was blocking, like he was playing lights out today. Yeah, like I mentioned Lockett before on kick coverage. Lockett caught a pass for a score on one of these plays that used kind of like a Percy kind of misdirection. But basically, you've got Russell Wilson out of the shotgun, and he can hand off the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Percy could be coming around for like a jet sweep where they're going to hand off the ball. They can do a quarterback read option, and then, Russell Wilson himself is possibly going to run the ball, or, throw to, Dougie B or any one of the wide receivers who were out there. And there were so many times where you could just see Seattle would burn the Green Bay defense on one play, and then a few plays later, they would fake to that play and go another direction, and you could just watch the defense flow the opposite direction. Percy Harvin's running this way. The whole defense goes to him, and all of a sudden, the whole left side of the field gets opened up. It was amazing to watch. And yeah, Percy's amazing. I hope he stays healthy, as with the rest of the offensive guys. Offensive line play was playing okay. Yeah, in general, line play has been kind of our weakness. Pass rushing, like on the defensive side, we're usually pretty good at. Stopping the run is something that we struggled with a bit today. Like Green Bay has Lacey, and he put in a lot of good runs. He was hard to bring down. And on the offensive side of the ball, right now guys are healthy or whatever, and so offensive line, not outstanding, but looking better than they were last year. And obviously we still managed to do quite well enough last year. Russell Wilson had a solid game passing or whatever, basically didn't make mistakes, had one kind of bad ball that he threw behind Zach Miller, and Zach Miller ended up making a great play to ensure that it didn't turn into an interception. And yeah, but it was just all about Percy. Marshawn Lynch had a great game, but even I would say half of the times Percy didn't touch the ball, you could still see him influencing the play in terms of the defense. And yeah, there's just so many directions that this offense can go when it's clicking on all cylinders that that Seattle is going to be facing. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have a tough time. So yeah, I think the team looks even better than they did kind of overall towards the end of last year when they were looking great. Yeah, there were a lot of kind of small mistakes. There were a lot of things that they continue to build on. But it was a great first game. I really enjoyed watching it, and I have high hopes for the rest of the season. And so for anyone else who's a football fan or a Seahawks fan, yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy it as much as I do. I don't know. I really enjoy football. I haven't really talked about it. I occasionally talk about it in videos on the channel, but I was like, why not just make a blog, and then people who care about football could watch this, and if you don't, just skip the video. And so for the few of you who might be still watching here at the end, if you do like these videos, let me know, and maybe I'll try to do more of them each week. covering Seattle and possibly any other games that I watch, but probably be mostly just kind of focused on talking about Seattle since they're the team I know. Yeah, I think that's about it. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.